IF Chennai chapter to introduce Mr. Rahul Khajure, lead Supplier Networking Quality, Volvo Group India Private Limited, to our audience.
For the opportunity given to me to introduce Mr. Rahul, currently lead supplier quality at Volvo Group India with more than 14 years of experience on casting development and quality in automotive and engineering industry. A metallurgical engineer, started his career in Foundry and being Foundry auditor at Volvo and audited various foundries across globe. In June 22, Mr. Rahul, along with Brakes India Foundry team, launched world's first green casting with the least carbon emission from manufacturing. A strong believer in making right choices today for better world tomorrow. I request Mr. Rahul to give us the wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I think tea was not so good. I feel less energy. Good morning, everyone.
Very good morning.
Thank you. I think morning session was really inspiring, at least for me. I learned a lot from Doctor because it's very uncommon to have this kind of a presentation, specifically on the manufacturing industry. So, let's know. Just check with the cable. Most of the seminar. Okay. So let's jump into the topic. So thank you, first of all, Brakes team and Indian Foundry conference and community team for giving an opportunity for we as a customer to come and speak to you guys in this kind of a forum where we have people from various foundry, we have people from foundry chemical suppliers, equipment manufacturer, and even some of the customers. So this is very interesting topic, similar to what we had in the morning. Market scenario and expectations from Foundry. When this topic comes to your mind, what do you think? Is it a customer asking about quality or delivery or cost? Indeed, right? But I'll not be speaking about quality, delivery, cost, features, QDCF, TSR and all. So let's think beyond what is our customer's expectation. We as a customer not only want a product with a good quality, with a good cost and a good delivery, but there is a lot of changes across the globe happening, and in that direction, expectation from the customers are also different. Let me take you through this presentation. Yeah. Okay, I think again some issues. Yeah. To start with, I'm not sure how many of you heard about we are living in a VUCA world. World is not the same. World is changing. A lot of business segment, business scenarios in terms of the casting or even in terms of the other commodities are changing. We are living in a VUCA world which is highly volatile. Volatile, it means customer demands are changing, customer expectations are changing. As a simple example, now there is a boom in the EV market. People are not buying much of diesel vehicle. There is a demand in the EV market. So accordingly, the business scenario is changing. Also, situations are very uncertain. We know recently, 2 years before, we had a COVID issues, we had a Ukraine war, we had a semiconductor issues. So situations are very uncertain. And also it's becoming more complex because of all the situation. Customers are not in a situation to give you a realistic demand. You will have a forecast, you will have a clarity in terms of the volume, but suddenly you will see there is a change in the demand. All those things brings a lot of ambiguity in terms of investment, in terms of future strategies, and so on. So situation is very uncertain, and that's the reason we called as currently we are living in a VUCA world. And in this direction, as the theme of the event, if you want to research and if you want to be winner in this particular field, what we have to do is we have to be resilient and we need to rejuvenate whatever we do in our facility and when we make a product. So let's see a short video to make it more interactive. I kept many of the videos. So let's see one video to understand what is really happening across the globe.
An increasing global population, booming e-commerce, climate change and congested megacities, tech giants taking control of end-to-end logistics flows, startups scrambling to disrupt the inefficient transport industry, economic power shifting to the east. And this is yesterday's news. Imagine what the world will look like 10 years from now. In 2030, we're 8.6 billion people sharing the planet. 4 out of 5 economic superpowers are found in Asia. 70% of us live in cities, and almost all of us are connected. The effects of climate change have become too real to ignore. Sustainability has become a prerequisite for doing business. We shop online and prefer using services rather than owning products. Power has shifted from producers to consumers, and expectations on user experience are extremely high. Companies use data to provide seamless and individualized services and products. It's all about the customer interface. 2030, the winner takes it all.
So what we see is a lot of changes happening. As you see, growing population, increasing in demand. If you have more demand, it means you have more production happening. More production means more resource consumption, more emission. Indeed, right? And apart from that, the business scenario is also changing. Nowadays we go outside for food, and now most of the guys in Bangalore, they don't purchase a car, they go for Ola and Uber. So business market, business scenario are also changing. So a lot of dynamics happening across the world. And if we, in this dynamic, we as a foundry supplier base from India, if we want to be a winner in the globe, and if we want to be a competitive, we wanted to keep the same competitive approach across the globe, we have to be out of the box. So what is that we have to do is, I'm talking about. So these are the 4 major aspects what we think as a customer, our foundry base in India should think about and should initiate some actions in this direction. So as we see, digitalization or digital transformation, this is one important. Partnership and collaboration, this is another important aspect. People, because people are the asset for an organization. So improving their skill set, their knowledge, competency are really important. And last not but the least is the sustainability. Whatever we do in the facility has to be sustainable. Obviously, the business also has to be sustainable. It means the business also has to be profitable. You don't need to compromise on the profitability, but there are a lot of aspects connected to the sustainability when we are talking about the sustainability on a holistic approach. Let's go more in detail. What is that digital transformation and other thing we are talking about? So I don't want to push or only ask you that, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that. But I just wanted to show you, we as a customer, what we have already done it. So to set some examples, to set a benchmark that we as a customer, if we can do, then obviously you as our supplier partners also can do. So this is another video, short video.
The day I fell in love with this job was the day I was born. I grew up with trucks. They ruled my life since I was a child. It's very difficult driving such a big vehicle through heavy traffic. You have to keep your eyes everywhere. It would be helpful to have another 100 of eyes.
If we have a system that could actually help out the driver or take over the driving task for a part of that journey, I think that could be a real benefit.
We are developing supporting solutions for the driver. We are developing solutions that will be able to take over tasks from the driver, as well as solutions to have self-driving trucks. For us, it's important that all of these solutions are within the frame of automation. Why automation? Automation will improve productivity and road safety. It will optimize the traffic management, route planning, less wear and tear. It will help us to get more energy efficient solutions. It will be less start and stop acceleration. And with solutions like platooning, we will be able to decrease the fuel consumption.
Automation is not about killing jobs. There will still be a need for skilled drivers in the future. As world population continues to grow, so does the need for transport. Automation is about making things more efficient. Many drivers will see their role change or develop, while others will continue just as usual. We can see in more complex driving situations, the driver make judgment calls and the systems does not. So we will need the driver and their knowledge for a long time. And today we focus a lot on how to support the driver in different situations.
I think automation is around us all over the time. When it comes to driving trucks, it would be nice that a truck could drive its own on a long distance haul. I could be able to fix my delivering nodes or just take my rest times where the truck could be able to drive itself so I could get home earlier.
We've been running tests for years, collecting and analyzing huge amounts of data, covering every scenario we could think of. In a virtual environment, it's safe to test difficult driving situations without any risks for the driver or the vehicle. So it's a really good opportunity for us to test new systems and also visualize new concepts before we build them physically. I feel I'm part of something big. I have never been driven by technology development as such, but rather what it could be used for and how we could enhance and make a better environment for the driver.
I'm not frightened when I look into the future. Without us truck drivers, the goods won't be delivered where they have to be. We are a big part of the transport chain.
Takeaway from this video. There is always a belief that automation is expensive. There's automation means a lot of cost involved. But there are other aspects associated with the automation. As mentioned, automation improves efficiency. Automation improves productivity. Automation improves safety of people working inside the facility. Automation also will support in terms of production planning or planning the good dispatches, and it brings overall efficiency. So there is a cost involved, but there are a lot of tangible and intangible benefit associated with the automation. And as mentioned in the video also, so this will continue to grow, and there is a perception that automation can impact on the skill set or will reduce the job, but that's not the case. As mentioned in the video, population is growing, there is increase in demand, so jobs will continue, but there can be different skill set needed when it comes to the automation. So this is what we have done as a customer. So let's understand what we can do as a Foundry partners to the customer. So key aspect what I mentioned is, as we know, Foundry is a labor-intensive job still in India, but still, if you're talking about other foundries across the globe in Europe and US, there are a lot of automations happening. But in India, this is one area where we have to focus and we need to investigate and improve our investment. So as we see in Foundry, typically the fettling shop, core preparation, core coating, grinding, finishing, all these operations are manual. And when it comes to the manual work, there is always a safety concern, there is always a consistency, there is always a productivity concern. And these are the area where we can think about the automation. And still, there are some benchmark foundries in India who have already done it. So it's not the case that most of the other foundries cannot do. There are 4,000 foundries in India making iron castings for the globe. But out of 4,000 foundries, there are only a handful of foundries who have initiated actions in this direction. But there are set benchmark and good examples. Another aspect is, as we know, Foundry is full of variables. You have sand properties, metal properties, time, temperature, many variables, a lot of variables associated with the product meeting a specification. You have an n number of data. Currently, the data has been recorded, but data is not being used to analyze. So there it comes to a role of digitalization and artificial intelligence. We have foundries across the globe who are the current supplier to Volvo, and there, if you go, you don't need to go to the shop floor. There is a war room where you can see everything. And if you see a data of 5 years before, 10 years before product, who was the operator, what was the signed property, what was the rejection percentage, all those data you can see. So there is a artificial intelligence and digital transformation happening across the globe in other industries. Similarly, in the foundries also it is possible. And this is one area we have to focus. And majorly, signed area, there are softwares available even in India, and the metallurgical properties and inspection, this area can be digitalized and artificial intelligence can be brought in. And when you have this automation, AI and digitalization integrated, then it comes to a facility which is smart foundry. That's the concept we are talking about. This is a time we have to think about a smart foundry which will have all this integration taken care. But last but not least, in this journey, we also need to be innovative and creative. This is a photo which I pasted knowingly, and this is a batteries. So as we know, there is a change in the customer base, customer demand, a lot of EV vehicles, a lot of digitalization, a lot of electronic waste getting generated, a lot of battery waste getting generated. We have one supplier in France. He is using this pencil batteries as a raw material, because as a pencil battery, what you know, it has a graphite electrode, it has a copper cap, it has a steel shell, which is nothing but a raw material for a foundry industry. And for using this as a raw material, he gets paid from the European government because he is using the waste generated by the people. So he get a free raw material, he get a tax benefit, and he get a free alloy. So this is a kind of innovation and creative, what we are expecting from our supplier base also to think about. This is just one example, but a lot of creativity and innovation can be done in this direction. So let's talk about next topic on partnership and collaboration. This is important aspect as of now, because partnership is a new leadership. We as a Foundrymen, we are, I think, working in the silos, not on the knowledge sharing and experience, but when it comes to the investment and when it comes to the long-term goal. Imagine you have a foundry in Kolhapur, they are also investing, they're making a new foundry, you have a foundry in Coimbatore, Chennai, everyone making their own new foundry or investing their own line. Imagine 2-3 foundries coming together, having a good collaboration, thinking about the next future, having a smart foundry, collaboration with the 3 or 4 foundries, and the productivity and efficiency will be more or less or much higher than the output which will be done by 3 isolated foundries. So this is one area where we want our foundry partners to collaborate, because we know, we as a customer, we are not champion or we are not expert on everything. We know how to make a truck, but the situation is changing. There is a lot of digitalization. We don't have experience on digitalization or software making. So as you see, some of the partnership we as a Volvo we have a partnership with Samsung to developing digitalization and autonomous solution. We have a partnership with SSAB, who is a steel maker in manufacturing green steel, because what we are talking about is on sustainability. We are not maker of a steel, but we have a partnership with the steel makers. We have a partnership with our competitor like Daimler and Triton for development of hydrogen cell, which will be the future of industry. So partnership is a new leadership. So here are some example what I wanted to share, which is a recent example. We had a good collaboration and partnership done with the Brakes India and developed green casting, which is world's first green casting. And this was not possible if you don't work in collaboration. Similarly, you can do something unique and out of the box along with the customers, because we have some experience, we know what is that happening across the globe. There, it doesn't end, but we can also have a collaboration with universities. You get a people, you have a knowledge at universities. Universities have a people, skill set, knowledge, that we have to collaborate. You can have a partnership with universities, for customers and foundry, and develop a new material or develop a new process. So this is one area what we are thinking. And not only you have to stop, maybe you can have a partnership with equipment manufacturer, with alloys makers, with a chemicals provider, because they have experience and expertise in their product. You can have a collaboration and develop something unique out of the box which can change the industry norm. So important is partnership. We don't need to work in isolation. We don't need to work in silos, because if you work in collaboration, then only we'll be having a benefit of both the industries, and then we can do wonders. So green casting is one of the good example which is done recently. Third, people and skill set. I will not touch more in detail about this topic. I have removed some of the content because in the morning session, doctor has covered everything. She was talking about changing the mindset, changing the skill set, having developing the mindset of a people working in the facilities, because which is very unique. It's not so common that people in manufacturing industry talking about changing the mindset, because still we as an Indian supplier base having that mindset, okay, nothing will happen, or in Hindi we call it as a chalta hai attitude. So that has to change. So that is one aspect. We have to change the culture of a people working in the facility, and in that direction collaboration is important. In that direction, end-to-end perception about the product is important. They have to think about what is the end impact. It's not a process rejection, or there can be one product rejection, but what is the end impact? What can be the impact at customer? So end-to-end perspective has to be brought about. Another important aspect, which is the first sentence as I mentioned, talent pool for a foundry industry. Nowadays, you see there are a lot of change in the business model. Swiggy, Zomato, and many more. People don't want to come. You have a more than similar salary only for a delivery of a product, or Amazon, or many more. So in future, what we see is the scarcity of a people can happen. And this is one area we have to focus. We need to have a collaboration with universities, talking specifically about the foundry knowledge, foundry skill set, and foundry process. So developing the competency, developing the knowledge. This is one area we have to focus and collaborate and improve the skill set. So this can be a concern in the future, because in this conference also, if you see what is the average age, it's around 30, 35. So where are the young people? We don't have much of young people in this industry. So this is one area of a concern which we have to think about for the future. So last but not least is the sustainability. So let me take you to the sustainability aspect. What does that sustainability mean to us? It's not only the carbon emission reduction, but is much more.
The climate is changing. The world's resources are finite, and the world population is growing. The world economic activities is expected to double by 2030 and triple by 2050. The choices we make today define the world we live in tomorrow.
In my view, at least, the starting point is, of course, being a decent company for everyone, really. For our own employees, of course, for suppliers, for business partners, for customers, for investors.
What I think is really interesting right now is the connection between financial perspectives and sustainability.
A good corporate citizen is a company that are engaged and present in their local communities which they operate.
Waste and pollution must be designed out, and products and material must be kept in use.
Transport and infrastructure is often the lifeblood of many societies, and it has a huge potential to advance sustainable development overall.
To me, sustainability is about shaping the world we want to live in.
So sustainability is all about shaping the world which we want to live in. That's the future. We have to take care of our planet. We have to take care about our environment. So there are some figures here. There was an emission of 36 billion ton of CO2 in 2019 from various industries across the globe. And there are some data here. And if you're talking about the foundry as an industry, we support all these industries. We support energy, we support industries, we support agricultural, forestry and all. And I did some back calculation. We have done approximately 85,000 million tons of casting production in 2019. And which is equivalent to 170 million tons of CO2 emission in 2019. That is 1.7 billion ton of CO2 emission only because of casting industry out of 36 billion ton. So our contribution is significant in nature, and we have to think in this direction to save our planet. And in this direction, as Mr. Sundaresan also mentioned in the morning, there are a lot of government commitment from India government, and in this direction, There are commitments like India will have a 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel energy. We will be investing a lot in the non-fossil fuel energy. We will be net zero by 2070. That is a long journey, but there is a commitment. And how the government will be able to achieve that commitment is with the support of our industry partner, with support of you as a partner. So this is possible, and in this direction, we as a Volvo, what is our commitment? We as a Volvo, we have a commitment to be net zero by 2040. It means whatever product we have as a truck, bus, construction equipment, engines or anything has to be zero carbon emission by 2040. Zero carbon emission means either it will be electric or it will be with the hydrogen fuel cells. So that's our commitment. By 2030, we will have a 35% of vehicle of fully electric. So that's the aspect of climate. When it comes to the resources, we will be more productive, we will have world-class facilities, and when it comes to the people, we have to take care of our safety, and we also need to be taking care about gender diversity within our organization. There is a aspect that we will have 35% of women employed, not only in the management, middle management, but even in a leadership position. So this is also one of the important aspects when we are talking about people on the aspect of sustainability. So we as a Foundry supplier base, what we can do, this is a traditional supply chain where what you do, you have a resources, you extract the resources, you transform the resource, you produce a component, you manufacture and deliver it to the customer. And in this process, you generate a waste. So this is a traditional process or traditional supply chain, what we are talking about. And what is the expectation for we as a customer is green supply chain. So in green supply chain, what we are expecting is what you deliver, you can reuse and you can recover the waste. And in that journey, you reduce the resource consumption. And the waste, what you have generated, that also can be reused and recovered. So this is a kind of a green supply chain we are talking about. And in this journey, I think Bricks India also has set one very good example. You have in Foundry waste sand, which is going for a landfilling. That is one of the Hercules or biggest concern in the current situation. So waste sand, what can be done? So at Bricks India, they make a bricks, they make a construction blocks, all those things. So that is good for environment. Instead of having a landfilling, this is one unique solution which can be easily implemented. But there are many more examples like this. So what we are talking about, to have a circular economy, to have a circularity even in a supply chain and even in a manufacturing process. So we as a Foundry, what we can do, we have some examples over here. We have to improve our share of green power. We have to reduce our usage of fossil fuel energy. We have to work on the packaging. Still, a lot of people are using one-way packaging. A lot of plastic, wood waste, paper waste are generated in the packaging. So all those areas we have to think about and we have to explore in terms of the sustainability. So it's not only about responsible purchasing, but also about responsible manufacturing. Whatever we manufacture, we have to be responsible and has to take care of climate, resources, and people.
This is an
last video, but it's interesting, and with that we'll close the presentation.
This is an autonomous vehicle. We want to make it easier for clients and partners to run their business by presenting a highly effective system for moving goods as a complement to what's available today. The pace of society and increasing global trade is placing high demands on efficient and sustainable transport solutions. E-commerce is growing fast, and we have a widespread shortage of truck drivers. Autonomous, electric, and safer vehicles have a great role to play and can help meet many of these challenges faced by society and the industry. The autonomous vehicle is part of a larger system and has the potential to optimize transports in highly repetitive, short-distance transport flows with large volumes of goods, such as ports, factory areas, and logistic megacenters, offering better delivery precision and flexibility. The autonomous electric vehicles operate together in a network and are connected through a cloud-based service and management center. It is a future transport system that can be an important complement to today's solutions and solve many of the challenges faced by society and industry.
Interesting, right? You don't have a driver, you don't have a cab, right? So it's a fully electric, fully autonomous, driverless vehicle. So This will change the transport industry. This will bring a revolution into the industry where you have a pick and drop from A to B position and so on. So a lot of changes happening across the globe when it comes to the final product. But what is that happening in foundry industry? We have to reflect. We have to think. We have to think about what we can do, what we can contribute, how we can be out of the box. We have one foundry in Portugal, and that foundry is making fettling-less product, fettling-less casting. Casting is produced, short-lasted, and dispatched for machining. That's it. And what we have a bottleneck is a fettling in most of the foundry. So we have to think about what is that we really want, in which direction we want to grow, and what is our dream. So for me as a customer, I have a dream. I want to see a foundry which is smart. It means fully automatic, not fully automatic, but at least good amount of automation, good amount of digitalization, and to be sustainable foundry in terms of the resources what you consume, in terms of the energy, fuel, whatever you consume, and manufacturing green casting. So this will be a future of a foundry across the globe, and this is our dream for a foundry industry, to have a smart, sustainable foundry manufacturing green casting. Reason being, together we shape the world we want to live in. This is the world which we are passing on to the next generation, to our next generation. And imagine, do you really want our kid, my child, to work in the foundry? If I wish my child to work in a foundry, I have to think about what I have to do in my foundry to make it more sustainable, to make it friendly for my child to work in the foundry. Because this is the world we are living, and this is the world we will be passing on to the next generation. So thank you. That's my last slide. And I hope it's clear. And if you have any questions or doubt, we can have questions now. Thank
you. Any questions for Mr. Rahul?
Well, in the partnership for the sustainable process, you have included universities. What is the major role of universities in that?
Yeah, so as such, there is no defined role. Currently, we are also doing one project with Breaks India where we have a university collaboration. So when we are talking about sustainability as a topic, universities are doing many research. As an example, we know a solar panel can generate electricity from the photon which are coming from the sunlight. It's not the heat coming from sun generating electricity. It's a photon generating electricity in a solar panel. So there are research happening in the industry where there can be panels which can generate the electricity from the radiation, from the heat, like a solar water heater what you have. So universities having a research paper, there are many research papers, there are many publications from them, but it's only a concept, it's only a prototype solution. There is no solution available ready-made for the industry implementation. So this is what a collaboration we mean. They don't have experience, expertise on the industry because they have never worked in an industry, and they can't assess the risk because you have a melting furnace, you have a very high temperature. Okay, so there are various risks associated in the manufacturing process. So you have to work together. They have a solution, we have a problem, so we have to work together to find out a real solution to this problem. So it's a partnership. There is very thin line between different partners, and we have to work in a collaboration. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a selfish question from the foundry industry.
Yeah.
Now, with the EVs, many castings are going to become redundant. For example, your engine block, your drivetrain, all that is going to go. Now, you have great expectations here. You say you make this investment, you come out with all that. But when the business tapers off, how do you address the foundry's situation?
Yeah. Maybe I can give an example. 10 years before, people were talking about composite. Composite will replace everything. But where is the composite? It's been hardly used in the manufacturing segment or specifically in the commercial vehicle or a passenger car. Similarly, electrification or electromobility, what we are talking about, as a country, India, still there are many villages not having a power. There are load shedding happening even in Bangalore. So there is 3 years of load shedding happening. So there is no enough power. So there is a buzz now that everything will go electric. Definitely it will go electric, but not to 100%. And in this direction, a more sustainable solution is a hydrogen fuel cell. When you have a hydrogen fuel cell, what happens is from water you generate hydrogen, and when the reaction happens, you get a water vapor as an emission. So for that also, the castings will be needed. There will be a block, there will be head, similar to a diesel engine, there will be hydrogen fuel cell, and the casting business will continue. So there is maybe a short gap for this transition to happen from diesel to electrification, electrification to hydrogen fuel cell. In India, there will be world's largest hydrogen fuel cell production happening in Gujarat, which is a joint venture between Adani Group and Total Energy. So future is hydrogen, and when you have a hydrogen fuel cell, definitely there is a replacement of cylinder block to some similar block having a hydrogen burning inside the block. So casting business will continue, and there is not much of impact on the casting business, what we as a customer foresee. So investment needed and transformation is needed in this journey.
No, that did not answer my question. My question was the number of castings should go down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have great expectations here.
Yeah.
Suppose we live up to that. When the downturn happens, how will you, work with the foundries again? I mean, it puts the foundry at a disadvantage.
True. That's the reason I started a presentation that we are living in a VUCA world. Situations are unpredictable, uncertain. Okay, but we have to think about future. If we don't do anything, obviously we will be out of the market. And if we have to be a winner in this situation, we have to collaborate. And that's the reason, as I mentioned in the beginning, why all foundries are investing. One foundry in Kolhapur will do one investment in one more line. And why not a collaboration? Why not a joint investment? Why not making a smart foundry? Will be more sustainable. So definitely there will be investment, but it will be a smart investment for a future. So impact will not be so high, and impact will not be on one organization or a team. Impact will be on the entire industry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rahul, for your wonderful address and sharing your views on the importance of automation and partnership, and the necessity of getting into it for a sustainable foundry. We now request Mr. P. Venkatesan, immediate past chairman, Chennai chapter IAF, to felicitate Mr. Rahul with a traditional Angavastram. We now request Mr. V.K. Raman, Vice Chairman, IEF Chennai Chapter, to felicitate Mr. Rahul with a memento on the Foundry Metallica. Thank you, sirs.